Hello and welcome again to this edition of FLITernetTV. I'm your host, Brad Swanson. We are not coming to you from Florida Internet and Television Studios, but yet we're coming to you across the street from Florida's capital. Today is game day. The legislative session is in, and I am joined by Matt Dixon with Politico Florida. Matt, welcome.
Wait, today's the opening day session? No idea.
What?
I had no idea. What are we doing?
You better get over there.
Yeah,
you better get over there.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a joke, right?
Yes,
You've been over there since 6 a.m., according to all your editors.
I slept there last night.
Right. I mean, that's your commitment
I got
to the
a little
craft.
hammock in the back of the room.
Right.
Yeah, it's great.
Right. Okay. So what, when we look at your next column coming out, what are you going to write about today?
What I thought was kind of interesting is Governor DeSantis has had a real reputation so far of sort of, you know, going to both sides, having policies that even Democrats get behind, but also occasionally throwing a bone to his base in his first 2 months in office. I think his State of the State speech, it included talk about immigration reform, a lot of school choice stuff, U.S.-Israel relations. I think it really almost kind of felt like the return of campaign run almost. He talked about his environmental spending policies and his K-12 spending policies, which are both things that the Democrats have applauded, but I think there was a much bigger emphasis on getting applause lines from the Republican legislature, which is who he was speaking to, as opposed to kind of, you know, making sure both sides had something to hang their hat on.
Well, so let's dive deep. Like where did he go deep on? I mean, immigration was one.
Well, the biggest applause line he got today was sort of hammering the Virginia Governor Ralph Northam. That he had his own third trimester abortion sort of controversy before the blackface controversy, right. and Governor DeSantis brought that up, saying we're not going to go in the direction of Virginia on abortion. And Virginia, for you know. Pro-life advocates has kind of become a rallying cry, so the chamber just erupted with applause, and it was, I think, the biggest applause line of the day.
Right. Okay. So what were the other big applause lines?
Immigration. He had talked about, he's very supportive of this year. He said he'll sign the sanctuary cities bill, and he had parents in the audience.
And for clarity, that is against sanctuary cities.
Correct. Yes. I should clarify that. And he had invited some people who angel parents whose kids have been killed by those here illegally, right. Which is seen as a controversial move by some Democrats. They were kind of poking at him on Twitter for that decision yesterday. So immigration was another big focus, and specifically legislation this year that's already kind of moving in both chambers that would ban sanctuary cities. And the Senate in years past have kind of given that bill a problem. It's died over in the Senate. This year it's seen as having a little more momentum, and Governor DeSantis is providing a lot of wind for that, saying, if I want it here, and if it gets to me, I'll sign it.
All right, so DeSantis, Governor DeSantis on a campaign kind of focus, Matt. What are you going to write about the Speaker and the President?
Well, it's pretty simple. Jose Oliva, the Speaker of the House, really hammered home on his to rein in hospitals and rein in what he calls the healthcare industrial complex. And Senate President Galvano quoted Hemingway, so I'm not exactly sure how we're going to write about that. But there wasn't a whole lot of policy on the Senate side today. The Senate's got a lot of policy on the table, but President Galvano chose to make his opening day remarks sort of more circumspect.
Right. So they're circumspect, but does that then tell you the game is afoot, right? I mean, are we seeing the cards getting pulled in close to the vest, or are we just not even seeing any cards yet?
Well, normally I would say that with an opening day speech like this, but what's kind of interesting is President Galvano has already laid out one of his big policy priorities, this big multi-year push to boost infrastructure in Florida's rural communities.
Right.
He has sort of put that as his real big priority, his sort of session gold coin.
Right.
So that's already out there. So I was kind of surprised actually that he didn't use the opening day speech to sort of hammer home some of those themes,
right.
And use the word innovate, which is one of his favorites.
Well, the president has always, he's the man in black, right? So he's always kind of charted his own path, and now you're really seeing that not only in his opening day, his response to the governor's budget. I mean, you're seeing this trend in the Senate where typically you would see that kind of independence, if you will, from the House. This is the Speaker.
Sure. Well, and that's is kind of interesting. Well, Jose Oliva has really charted out a healthcare focused sort of a reining in healthcare costs as his main policy. That's really sort of been the long-term theme or brand of the House.
Right.
Over the past 2 to 4 years, they've hit on talking about hospital reserves and sort of bringing in some of those costs. So while I've no doubt that is one of his priorities, as far as what Jose Oliva wants as a member, as House Speaker, as opposed to what he wants the globally flourished chamber, I don't know that we're sure yet.
Right. So we will definitely tune in, Matt. Thank you for coming on FLITernetTV. We appreciate you as always, and we look forward to having you on again.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the time we have for today's show. Make sure you hit us up on our Facebook and Twitter feeds. And for now, thanks for tuning in.